What's up, y'all? We're here. We're in the city of Detroit, Campus Martius. God bless you. Welcome. This is Detroit Altar. My name is Sidney Stewart. Okay, we got some amazing worship for you in a couple moments. We got Brittany here. We got Kyle here. We got Pastor Josh on the cajon. And listen, we're blessed to be here. It's really cold, but God bless you. We hope you enjoy.
You give life, you are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. Great are you, Lord, oh, 'cause it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. Father, we love you, God. Oh, you give life, yeah, you give life. You are love, you bring light to the darkness, you give hope, you restore every heart that is broken. And great are you, Lord, 'cause it's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. And all the earth will shout your praise, our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord, oh, and all the earth will shout your praise, our hearts will cry, these bones will sing. Great are you, Lord. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise, we pour out our praise. It's your breath in our lungs, so we pour out our praise to you only. Father, we love you, yeah. Father, we love you. Oh, yeah. It's your breath in our lungs. Father, we love you. Father, we love you. Oh, come, all ye faithful, joyful and triumphant. Oh, come ye, oh, come ye to Bethlehem. Come and behold him, born the King of angels.
What's up, Detroit? This is Sidney Stewart, lead pastor at Detroit Altar, and we're out here outside of the four walls of the church. We're preaching the gospel. It's going to be a quick message, but it's going to be extremely powerful. God is so good. It's 28 degrees, but we're getting after it, okay? Now listen, we're at Campus Martius. We've already interacted with some spirits, right? Somebody said they was going to go down to 7 Mile and get a gun. Somebody said he said he's going to kill somebody and all kinds of stuff. But guess what? We're here preaching the gospel, and God is so good. We're going to keep going into our series on Christ the King. Last week, in our last message, we talked about receiving Jesus, okay? We talked about receiving all of Jesus, not just a little bit of him, but all of him, all of his preeminence, all of his relationship with the Father, okay? All of his authority. You got to receive Jesus. And we used an analogy, right? The analogy was, you're in your bed, you go down, you hear a knock on the door, and you look out and you see a friend that you know and you love, and so you receive him, you bring him in, right? So what's the first thing you're gonna do once you receive that friend, okay? Well, if you're a good host, you're gonna eat with them, okay? Doesn't matter the time. If they came from a long way, you're gonna prepare a meal and you're gonna sit down and eat with that brother and sister, okay? And so naturally, as we progress, right, through this series, right, naturally, the next thing that we're gonna do with Jesus is eat with him. And so the title of this message is Eat with Him. So I'm vegan, right? And it's funny because everybody always laughs when I tell people I'm vegan, because it's like, how are you vegan? That's weird. Aren't you, like, what's going on? And I'm like, listen, man, I'm not one of those vegans that's like all concerned about animals. God bless the animals, whatever, but that's not me, okay? I'm not the type of vegan that's not gonna go and get like leather pants or something. I'm not gonna get leather pants, but not because of that reason, right? Okay, I'm kind of a fake vegan, right? If a little bit of cheese gets sprinkled on my pizza, I'm not too mad about it, okay? But that's what I eat. Okay? I don't eat meat. There's things I do eat, there's things I don't eat. Okay? Now, there's a pastor friend of mine who all he does is eat meat. So he said, I can't eat with that brother Sidney. I can't eat with him because he don't eat meat, I eat meat, we don't eat the same foods. Okay? So we have to find out what Jesus eats and what he doesn't eat so that we can tailor our taste buds, right? So that we eat with him, so that we love the things he loves, and so that we hate the things, right, that he hates. So as we move into this sermon called Eat With Him, we're going to look at a couple of specific scriptures. One is in Matthew, and that's chapter 4, verses 4. Okay, check this out. I'm going to read the word. Okay. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil, okay? After fasting for 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. The tempter came to him and said, if you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread. Jesus answered, it is written, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. So right off the bat, right, we see that Jesus eats and is sustained by the words of God, okay? Now, what does that mean? When he says it is written, he is really referencing a verse in Deuteronomy where it says the exact same thing, okay? Man shall not live off of bread alone, but off of every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. So what this is really saying is, you know, the devil knew exactly who Jesus was. He knew he was the Son of God. Jesus clearly knew that the devil knew that he was the Son of God. So it wasn't like this real test to say, okay, can he do it or can he not do it? What the devil was trying to do was to get him to go back on his word, the word that was written in Deuteronomy. If he could cause him to, right, go back or undermine the word that was written in Deuteronomy, then he would have a crazy victory. We see Jesus not only eats his word, but he is sustained by his words. Now listen, that doesn't mean like what we believe, like what we understand right now, right? When somebody says you're gonna eat those words, that means, right, okay, your words, whatever you just said, is going to eventually come back to haunt you. That's what we mean in modern day. But when we say Jesus eats his words, okay, What we mean is he is a man of his word. So whatever it is that he said, you can rest assured that he's gonna live by it. And can I just encourage you, and can I just, in a way, just suggest to you, strongly suggest to you, especially men, this is for everybody, but I'm really talking to the men, right? As a man, you have to do whatever it is that you say you're gonna do. Eat your words, okay? If you wanna eat with Jesus, you gotta eat your words. Now my wife, you know, it's funny because when we first got married, okay, one thing she told me, she was like, you know, I love my dad, you know, because I could always count on him to do exactly what he said he was gonna do. And that's actually why I married you, is because, you know, I could tell that when you said you were gonna do something, you did it. So men, listen, if you can't keep your word, that's all a person needs to know about you, okay? Single women, if you're dating somebody, okay, and that man can't keep his word, that's all you need to know about that man. We have to eat our words every single day. We have to live out exactly what it is that we say we're gonna do. You make a vow, you keep it, right? Till death do us part, we keep it, okay? You say you're gonna be back in 20 minutes, be back in 20 minutes. We have to eat our words. And as we begin to eat our words, we can then also obviously eat with Jesus. Jesus eats his words. The next point, okay? So we know what Jesus eats, his words. Now what does he not eat? Or what is he allergic to, in a sense? Now clearly, right, I don't want to be heretical in saying that this is clearly a metaphor, okay? But what does Jesus not eat? For that, we have to go to John chapter 4, verses 28. Now, I'll give you a little bit of contextual background. Now, here, this is right after, this story where we're going to pick up is actually right after, okay, he met with the Samaritan woman at the well, and he was telling her about herself and giving her living water and all of that. And he was like, listen, you know, you go and do what you need to do. And the woman went off, and she, as she went back to her hometown, she started telling everybody about Jesus, the Messiah's here, and all of that. So the disciples came back, right? And when the disciples came back, what did they do? They said, Rabbi, eat something, okay? And in 32 it says, Jesus said to them, I have food to eat that you know nothing about. Now, what are we talking about here? Jesus is like, clearly he had been famished, he was tired, he was doing a lot. They were traveling from one place to the next, and the disciples went off. Clearly they had been eating, probably frolicking, doing all kind of crazy stuff. And then they came back and said, Jesus, you haven't eaten anything all day. You need to eat something. And what did Jesus say? He said, I have food to eat that you don't know anything about, okay? And when he said, I have food to eat you don't know anything about, he was talking about worldly food, okay? The food that they eat is worldly. The food that he eats is spiritual. So there was a major jump and a shift from the natural to the spiritual, from the physical to the metaphysical. So when he says, I have food to eat that you know nothing about, he's purely talking about the dichotomy or the delta right between what people eat on a regular basis, the natural foods that people sustain themselves with, and then the food of the spirit, which is what sustained him, right? His food was not of this world. You know, it's so sad because I actually saw a pastor the other day, okay? And he was preaching. And as he was preaching, you know, before he got up to give his sermon, he stood up there and he started to rap a song. And the song was basically a Christianized version of the theme song to the series Power. Okay, now I don't know that show from the next show, but from what I understand, it's a very, very secular, R-rated, X-rated show. And he basically brought, right, this show into the pulpit and started to try and Christianize it. That's food of this world that he's trying to wrap in a spiritual cloak. Or I should say a spiritual word that he's trying to wrap in the cloak of the world. Either way you look at it, it's wrong. Okay? It's just like, it's so funny, right? My wife, she's so bad at this. Since we're both vegan, what she does is, okay, she'll go and she'll get like a tofu hot dog, okay, and she'll put a little bit of chili sauce on it, or a little seitan or whatever, like so a bunch of vegan stuff, and she'll try to pawn it off as a real hot dog, right? Or she'll take this a Beyond Burger, throw some mustard and ketchup on it, put some pickles on it or whatever, and then try to pawn it off as a real burger, okay? That works when you're talking about food. I mean, nobody wants to eat that but vegans, but the reality is, it's okay if you do that with food. It's not okay if you do that with the gospel, okay? You're not gonna, it doesn't make sense to go out, okay? Hey, see, God bless you, bro. God bless you. It doesn't make sense to go out, okay, and get food of this world and try and wrap it in, okay, the gospel. Leave the gimmicks outside of the church. Preach the gospel as it needs to be preached. As you just saw, there are people here who need it. There are people here who need the gospel as it is. If you try to mix and match it with stuff, you're not gonna get the gospel. It's not the gospel. And the last thing that we're gonna say, and we're done, okay? We know what he eats his word. We know what he doesn't eat. He doesn't eat the food of this world. And the last thing that he does eat, most importantly, in my opinion, is the will of the Father. That's what he eats. Because in the next verse it says, could someone have brought him food? And he says, my food is to do the will of him who sent me and to finish his work. That's his food, okay? The purpose of God, the purpose that God had preordained before the foundations of the earth, placed on Jesus, was to do the will of the Father. He said, I was placed here for such a time as this, okay, to communicate the gospel to people like the Samaritan woman, to heal the sick, to open the eyes of the blind. My food is to do the will of the Father, okay? So my question to you as we wrap up is, what is your purpose, okay? What is the food that you're supposed to eat, okay? What are you gonna eat? Now, I'm not talking about your 9 to 5, okay? Clearly, we should glorify God in our 9 to 5 in the best way that we can. But what were you put on this earth to do, okay? God has given each and every one of us a purpose, and it is the will of the Father. So if we want to eat with Jesus, we have to eat what he eats. And if we want to eat with Jesus, we have to eat the will of the Father. And in order to do that, we have to figure out what our purpose is and walk in step with the Holy Spirit every single day of our lives until we meet him in glory. God bless you. I love you. Eat with Jesus. I'll catch you later. God bless.